lychees or lychees, and there's two different spellings, one with a Y, one with an I, are named after the area they come from in China. The Hak Ip it's a larger fruit with a smaller seed. And we felt like the flavor was superior. For this variety, that up there is what I'm looking for to pick up. So these, there's a lot more forgiveness in this fruit.
So much smaller, and there's so much more fruit on them.
When it falls.
Like sweet tarts. Oh wow, look at that.
If the state as a whole can get the mite under control, then we will sell the trees again. I love growing the tropical fruits because we have a lot of customers that grew up in areas or in other countries or in areas in Florida and stuff where they had a tree in their backyard and they're like, I haven't tasted this since I was a kid. It brings them back and it's awesome.
Yeah. Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees. Today I'm at this amazing farm. It's called Erickson Farm, established in 1911. Wow. And there's the address. I'm going to put the link and the phone number and the website below. They have a tremendous amount of mango trees. They have avocado trees, sapodilla trees, and a bunch of other fruit. Today we're going to be talking about lychees because we're in lychee season. And we're going to hear all about lychees. And they have lychees for sale now. Definitely stop by here. They also ship in the mail. This place is really amazing. And as you can see, we are in the middle of the country here, so to say. We're only an hour from West Palm Beach, Florida, but we're out near Lake Okeechobee. Amazing place. I'm really excited. We're going to meet Kimberly, who's the great-granddaughter of the person who started this farm. Yes, it's a family farm. That's why it's Erickson Farm, Erickson family, and 1911. So we're going to walk in now. We're really excited. This is going to be great. Learning about lychees today from people that have been growing it a long time. So here we go. Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees. I'm too excited to be at this place called Erickson Farm, and this is Kimberly. This is a 5th generation farm, and they started in 1911. Today we're going to be talking about lychees or lychees, and Kimberly is going to tell us all about her experience and history of growing this fruit on this farm, right?
Yes, I will.
Yes, and we're right in the middle of the season right now, or it's a great opportunity to buy these, and they have a specific variety that we're going to talk about that most other people are not growing and selling, so you definitely want to contact them and try this variety. The link is below, and we're going to get started with the tour right now. Hello everybody, here we are at this amazing place called Erickson Farm. They've been here since 1911, and this is Kimberly. It's a 4th generation farm. So hello Kimberly, thanhanks for joining us.
Good morning. Welcome.
Can you tell us a little about this amazing place, how long it's been here, how it started, and you're 4th generation, so please tell us about what it started at and the process.
Sure. So my great-grandparents and their children, who were very young at that time, moved here in 1911. My grandfather was actually just born. He was born in 1910. He immediately started planting fruit trees. We have a mango tree in one of the earliest pictures. They didn't start farming commercially for a little bit. We actually started with flowers. They grew amaryllis bulbs for the Montgomery Ward catalog. And then after the amaryllis, they switched into, this is a big winter vegetable area, so a lot of green beans and bell peppers. And then when the sugarcane really came in, my grandfather didn't have enough land to really support the family growing sugarcane. So we started looking at what we call high value crops. Things that require a lot more work, but you can make ends meet on a limited amount of land. So originally we had avocados. Unfortunately, after the level of the lake was raised, it killed the avocados. So we switched over to mangoes. So that was my grandfather's decision to plant mangoes in volume. And then my dad took over from him, and right now the farm is being run by the 3rd, 4th, and 5th generations. So we have a pretty long history right here.
Wow, so you're not only growing mango trees, you're growing other different varieties. And today we're going to talk about lychees because we're in the middle of the lychee season, or the beginning of the lychee season here. But I don't normally see fruit trees growing so far east of the coast. Why are you able to grow here fruit trees successfully?
We are essentially on the shore of Lake Okeechobee. You can't see it from here now because of the dike. It's literally on the other side of the street, but this area right here that we call the ridge, this is sand and shale. And when my grandfather was a little boy, the waves would lap right up here. This was the edge of the lake.
Wow.
And here, the vast majority of our cold fronts, and when I say vast majority, I'm talking like 90% probably, come in from the west coast. So they blow over the lake, and water holds heat better than land at night, because they always come in at night. And or that's when the temperature drops because you don't have the sun. It heats up the water for about a mile before it starts wearing off and it cools back down again. And we're right here on the edge, and the back end of our grove is less than a mile. It's less than 3/4 of a mile, I think. So it just so happens my great-grandfather put us in the perfect spot to keep us warm for growing tropical fruit. When we have cold fronts in the winter, our temperature here stays very, very close to the readings that they get at Trek, which is in Homestead, which is 3 hours drive south.
Wow.
So it's a significant difference. It's just a little tiny area here on the southeast corner of the lake where we have that effect.
Wow, so it's just this part of the lake, not all around the whole lake?
No, it's only on the east side, and it seems to be the southeast side. So
how big is the lake?
It is a big lake. It's the second largest freshwater lake in the United States. Only one of the Great Lakes is bigger. And straight across from here to the other side, you're looking at about 30 miles. It's not an especially deep lake, but it doesn't need to be to have that impact.
Are there other people growing fruit trees in this area? Or?
Not many. It's mostly sugarcane, sweet corn, and green beans in the winter. There is one other small grove in Pahokee, and I believe that they planted some up around the Port Mayaca area, which is about 10 miles north of us. I don't believe any of those are in production yet.
Now, would you say your growing zone is closer to like living on the coast, or more like Loxahatchee, West Florida? Because there's still a little difference in growing there. What would you be more similar to?
There are definite differences, and it's really not similar to any of them, and here's why. Temperature-wise, we get the benefit of the lake. However, our soil is different than just about anywhere else that they grow fruit trees in Florida. We are in the Everglades Agricultural Area, the EAA. We have the black muck. Over on the coast, you're going to have mostly sand. Down in the Homestead, Miami area, you've got mostly limestone rock and a little bit of sand. Completely different environment, completely different moisture retention, completely different nutrition that's available in those soils. The other thing is, for people who are right on either coast, they tend to get a breeze off the ocean, which does have an impact. It does seem to slightly help control some of the fungal issues. That's one challenge of growing any kind of tropical fruit in Florida, especially mangoes, because we get rain at the same time as the fruit season instead of afterwards. So growing here is unique.
Now, for all the things you grow, I think you were mentioning you're behind, about a month behind, would you say? Or how far behind are you in the growing season?
On average, it's about 2 weeks. We're behind the coast, and it's just the temperature differential. It's the chill hours, so those are hours where it is cool enough to trigger the trees to bloom. And so our temperature is just different enough that we tend to be about 2 weeks behind. This year, I think we're closer to a month behind because we had multiple blooms, and there was some of the earlier blooms didn't set very well. So the bulk of our crop is even later than it typically is.
Okay, well, how many acres is this farm total?
Total is right about 60.
How many of that is mangoes versus lychees and other trees?
Mangoes are right about 40. And then the other 20 is split up between lychees, sapodilla, carambolas, avocados, and then we've got some areas that aren't in production.
Okay, we're going to come back next month and talk about the mangoes, but today we're going to talk about the lychees or the lychees. And people, my viewers always say, well, you're pronouncing it wrong, and you and I discussed it. So what's the right way to pronounce it, lychees or lychees? As
far as I know, and I believe I read this in an article that was written by somebody at IFAS, so they should know. Lychees or lychees, and there's two different spellings, one with a Y, one with an I, are named after the area they come from in China. I'm not quite sure if that's a province or how they divide up their land. And there is disagreement between the experts as to whether that's pronounced lychee or lychee. So either one could be accurate. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and some sounds that, my English-speaking ears lost the ability to hear.
Great. So everyone that's trying to correct me, I might be right. So wonderful. Well, I wanted to come talk about your lychee or lychee because you sell lychees and lychees wholesale and retail. I'm going to put your link below to your website. You're open 6 days a week here. An amazing farm. But one special thing is you have, as your main variety, a different variety than others. So we're going to talk about that today when we go into the grove.
Yep.
Okay. Anything you want to share about this piece of land before we head into the grove and look at your lychee trees?
Not that I can think of right now.
All right, let's go and check them out. We're going to hop on this amazing van here, or a tractor, or a Jeep, or golf. It's not a golf cart.
It's a John Deere Gator. This one is.
A John Deere Gator, okay. This is exciting, so exciting. These are truly fruitful trees.
There you go.
All right. And you said the right on top over that wall there is the lake?
Yes, it's behind there's some little short rows of mango trees on that side. They're actually in the sand. And right behind that is the dike.
Are those your mango trees?
Yes, they are.
Yes, and is that your land?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How do they do there in the sand right against the water?
They actually get better color over there. They do have unique nutritional needs, so they do get some special treatment compared to over here.
And we're going to come back here later and look at their mango trees and also their avocado trees. I'm so excited about this place, but this is an amazing place. They've been here since 1911. So these are some of their mango trees. Wow. Now, do you sell lychee trees here or just lychee
no,
fruit?
I'm sorry, I'm changing my mind about where I'm going to drive. Do we sell what here?
Lychee trees or just the fruit?
We just sell the fruit. We have historically sold a lot of trees just to make them available to our customers. However, lychee trees are very hard to come by right now. We'll probably get into the mite being an issue in them. It's an issue all over the state, including nursery stock. Most of the nursery stock is quarantined, and we certainly don't want to run the risk of bringing anything new to our farm right now. So at present, we do not have any lychee trees available.
Okay. Look at this place. We're going to cover a lot of great information today here. They also have sapodilla, mangoes, avocados, and we'll find out what else they have here. This is so many questions when I come to a place like this, and hopefully we'll get a lot of answers today because people need to know. All right, we are off the John Deere tractor golf cart thing, and we're gonna ask about these lychees. Now, first thing I notice is it's kind of weird because you have a row there of lychees, then you have a tiny row here, and a big row here, and another tiny row. So, what's going on with that?
What's going on with that? Okay, so when they were originally planted here, the larger trees were planted in 1999, and they were planted on what we intended to be a 24-foot spacing, and we meant to put one more row down the middle. However, over time, watching how the trees grow, they do grow different here because of all the extra nitrogen in our soil. We decided that a 30-foot spacing was actually better, and we had enough room to, if we do that, put one row here and another small row on that side. So in order to make that work with the land that we have, this row is going to have to come out. So it's this row is in transition.
Okay, now I don't know about this. They look way too big, but can you take these out and sell them, or that's impossible?
The trees?
Yes.
To be totally honest, I don't know the answer to that. We do not have any intention of taking them out and selling them. I can tell you that I know lychees do not like their roots to be disturbed. To move a tree that big, you would need to cut it way back so that the roots are able to sustain. And by the time you do that and you damage the roots to move it and replanted it, even if you did get it to live, my guess is you would probably still be getting fruit off a smaller tree as faster.
Okay. All right. So if anyone wants to buy lychees or lychees, you see there's tons here, and the farm is open. They also do mail order, and we're going to talk about that process. But if you're interested in growing, this is a video you want to see, because you've been doing this since, the lychee trees have been here since 1999, you said?
These have, yes.
These have, okay. And you have some even older, so you have a lot of experience with lychees.
We do.
Yeah, so tell us how your trees are affected by the mite and how you deal with that.
We went for a number of years without getting it because of our isolated area here. We did finally get it, and we've been trying all the recommended things to do to control it. So far, it seems like it is getting under control, and fingers crossed we'll be able to eradicate it and maybe keep it out. My dad would actually be able to better tell you exactly what we're doing. I believe sulfur is what you douse them with to try to take it out.
Okay.
So it seems to be working.
So I have so many questions for you. So these trees, when did you plant these trees in this new row here?
These trees were planted, I believe it was 2 years ago.
Okay. How long and how big were they when you planted them?
They don't grow much the first year or two. Probably about yay tall.
Okay.
So that's probably about 2 years of growth on the little guys.
How long before these will have lychees or lychees?
We're expecting to have a few next year.
Okay.
It won't be many, but a few.
And even though you were saying 30 feet apart is what you've learned, and this farm is the ideal, how far apart? Because those are kind of close over there.
It's 15 feet between the trees in the row, which is the same as the larger rows. The larger rows are actually a little bit taller than we intend to keep them. We will be bringing everything down. We'd like to keep it probably at closer to 12 feet so that it's easier to harvest.
And when's the ideal time to trim a lychee? Like a mango right after you pick the fruit?
Right after you get the fruit off.
Okay.
Yep.
Now it looks like these bigger trees that are 15 feet going that way are like hedges more than secluded. That's what they look like? Is that your goal?
That's what happens over time, yeah. Unless you specifically go in and trim in between the trees, they essentially turn into a hedge.
Well, you could go 30 by 30 and then they won't be a hedge, but then you got less trees. Now,
right.
Between the hedges there, or on the insides of the trees that are touching, do you still get fruit?
Yes.
Oh, yes. You do? So it's okay to do that.
Yeah, you don't see it as well And they're some of the last ones to turn red because they are shaded, but they definitely do. And this variety actually, on most years, not this year, but on most years, they tend to put on most of their fruit in the very top.
Well, is that because the sun's hitting the top and not the inside?
I mean, they get, I guess it gets a little bit more sun, but we do try to, I mean, you can see the little trees aren't big enough to be shading those out, so I'm not sure if it's just a quirk of the variety.
Speaking of varieties, what varieties do you have here and what varieties do you sell?
Okay. We have a couple of other trees, some of which we intend to get rid of, but the variety that most of our trees are and the one that we sell is called the Hak Ip.
So why did you pick that variety to have and why are you getting rid of the others? Mm-hmm. And it's not the most common variety out there, so.
It's not. What produces well here differs from what produces well elsewhere. This variety, actually one of our neighbors had a tree for a long time. He got the cutting from the experiment station when they brought it in. And so we had seen that it produced well here. This is really my dad's decision, timing-wise. You can figure that one out. My grandfather probably had some input in that as well. Compared to the oldest trees we have are Brewster and Mauritius. Those are some of the, there's a lot of those around. Compared to those, the Hak Ip it's a larger fruit with a smaller seed. And we felt like the flavor was superior. So Dad felt like we could build a market for these once people try them, that they would like them. And that has been the case.
Well, so they're known like this, there's one called, that's really big. What's that other variety? There's
the Emperor, and there's a Sweetheart, which is very similar.
So Sweetheart is known to have a lot of flesh and a little seed, right?
They're
so
very, very similar.
So why didn't you grow those and why these?
Sweetheart, I believe, tend to be pretty every other year bearing. Not completely off on the second year, but not as much. This one actually, I believe, was introduced before. I think Sweetheart was the very last introduction. When we started growing these, it wasn't very well known, but these do seem to produce more consistently for us when the trees are happy.
Okay, so they're more consistent producer now. I think,
and they're different.
Yeah, and Emperor are I think dwarfer trees, and some trees grow taller, if I'm correct. So what about these? Are these considered normal size, slower growing trees, or how do they do on that?
I don't know a whole lot about the vigor differences between different lychee varieties. These will put on probably about 3 foot in height every year here on our high nitrogen soil. Compared to other fruit trees, lychees are slow growing, but I really couldn't speak to the differences between the varieties. I don't have that much experience with them.
Okay, besides possible sulfur to treat the mite, do you spray anything else on these trees?
We do. They get a lot of nutrition, and there are some other insects that we try to control before they start blooming. And then sometimes they'll get scale that you can usually deal with a soap. I can't think of anything else, but most of the sprays that hit them are nutrition. The anthracnose can actually be an issue on the fruit as well. So it's been really dry this year. If it's a particularly damp year, we probably hit them more often with some copper.
Okay, if somebody has just 1 or 2 trees in their yard, do you think it's necessary for them to also give the nutrition and do that, or it depends?
You're going to get a better crop with the nutrition. And when I'm talking about nutrition, at least for us, it's almost exclusively micronutrients. I think we might give them a little calcium sometimes, but it's mostly the micronutrients. It's very small amounts of the nutrients that they really need.
And what about in terms of
what you're giving them, do you put any thing in the ground for them?
Typically speaking, no. We don't.
How often do you water them?
There is under tree irrigation here. We didn't use it this year. It was put here for the purposes of under tree frost protection. We have two ways we can water them. One is with the microjet, the under tree. The other is seepage, where we bring up the level of the ditch, and it kind of seeps over. Everything out here was super dry this spring, so that's the route we went that time. But the under tree is here primarily for frost protection.
So when you bring that up, how does that work? Everything's flooded here?
It doesn't flood. It just brings it up enough that the groundwater is to where the lychees can get them, because they do have very shallow feed roots.
And considering they have shallow feed roots, do they do good in drought, or do they need water, or do they not do good in sitting water?
I know that they prefer that it's dry in the fall and wet in the spring. Last year was like complete opposite of that. This year, I don't think that fall was too bad, but it was really dry this spring, and they need that extra water to put on the juicy fruit. I don't think it will kill the tree, but it probably would. They would probably shed more fruit if they were too dry. Okay,
and a very important question: if somebody's just going to grow one lychee tree, are they self-pollinating or not?
Yes,
they are. Okay.
Yeah, there's male and female bloom on the same tree. And
besides all that, what about rodents, raccoons, squirrels, or anything else? How do they affect your trees? The raccoons create the biggest mess by chewing up the under tree irrigation. They will occasionally help themselves to fruit. Usually it's this down here that they can grab from the ground. Hang-on fruit.
Yeah, we try to get those real quick when they get red. There are a couple of squirrels, and they will get up there and they will help themselves. We probably only have one or two squirrels out here, so so far it's not a major issue. The biggest problem you're probably going to have at home with your lychees, though, is birds. Birds will wreak havoc with the fruit in the top of the trees, particularly the red-winged blackbirds. For some reason, they are not bothering them this year. Typically, these set in bunches as opposed to just the small one or twos. So we're really lucky that typically, once they start to get heavy and before they turn red, instead of waving up in the air like your Brewsters will do, like some of these are doing this year, those bunches typically get so heavy that the top kind of folds itself down and hide themselves from the birds. But birds and squirrels probably in your yards will be the biggest issues.
Okay, so some are red, really red, and some are not. Is that how you tell when they're ripe, or is there another way to tell?
No, on this variety, you can totally go off of the color. Like for a sweetheart, this would probably be sweet. They are much more of the yellow-green. For this variety, that up there is what I'm looking for to pick them. For some reason, the top parts of the tree are a little bit, they're always like this, probably the sun. The top edges of the tree are the furthest along right now. And then the lower fruit will come later. But even when they get ripe, if you're looking at that bunch from down here, you see red. If I could reach it, I'd flip it over, and on the back you're going to see yellow. Now on this is what I would call this a lime green. Okay, when this fruit gets ripe, this is going to turn red, but there's probably going to be a little spot on the back. But instead of having that green color, it's going to turn a yellow. And once they hit that stage, they will be sweet.
Okay, so this is important. What's the normal year that you time of year you have these available for sale?
I will preface it by saying it is a very short season. They have to be completely ripe when they're picked off the tree. It's not something you pick them and set them aside and let them ripen off the tree. Once they turn ripe, which often they do much closer to being all at once, it's a 10 to 14 day season usually. It can start anywhere from the last 2 weeks of May
Typically, we're done by the second week of June at the latest. This is the latest in my memory that we've ever started the lychee season.
And just because where you are and everything, what you're growing and everything, you're about 2 weeks later than most other people locally that are growing lychees, which is a good thing because when everyone's out, you're still going to have.
Right.
So keep that in mind, everybody. And again, their link's going to be below to purchase these. Now, when somebody gets these, that you do mail order, right?
We do.
And they could pick them up at the farm as well. What's the best way to store these? Do they need to eat them right away? Can they store well in the refrigerator or the freezer?
Sure. To be very clear, we do have pickups at the farm. For those, you have to call ahead and schedule the appointment. We can only pick so many a day. We don't want you driving out here and us not have any to sell you. So we do go ahead and schedule those appointments because they do have such a short shelf life. Everything that we sell on any given day is picked that day. So mornings are very busy during lychee season. Whether you're picking it up or whether we're shipping it, it's picked that same day. Some people like them better at room temperature. There's always that argument with any kind of fruit. I know I've heard it with mangoes and other things too, that when it's cold, that the flavor changes a little bit. Personally, I like them fresh. I like them in the fridge. You can hold them in the refrigerator for about a week. They do best inside a plastic bag so that the refrigerator can't pull the moisture out of them. On the counter, what you're going to see is probably about 2 days, about 48 hours, the skin's going to be turning brown. The fruit inside is still protected for maybe another day, and then it's going to start to deteriorate. So that's the shortest time frame. Yes, you can freeze them. Personally, I like to throw at least one bag in my freezer. I freeze them whole. You don't have to, but if you're going to just eat them fresh, as opposed to trying to make like a syrup or something out of them, if you freeze them whole, they don't stick together. And when you pull them out of the freezer, I usually just like set them out on the counter for a couple minutes or roll them around in my hand to warm them enough to peel them. And then you can eat them while they're still like mostly frozen and they're like little popsicles.
So when you freeze them whole, how long can they last in the freezer?
In a decent thickness plastic bag, like a freezer bag, at least a year.
At least a year. Mm-hmm. And if you're not freezing them whole, how are you freezing them? You're taking the skin off?
If you were going to just use the pulp to do something with, I would go ahead and peel them before you freeze them and remove the seeds. Because once they're frozen and that seed is frozen in the middle, I mean, it is a little bit more work to peel them when they're frozen. And most fruit, when it thaws completely, gets a little mushier than it would have been fresh. So it's just easier to deal with fresh if you're only going to use the pulp for cooking or something.
Sure. Now, is the skin or the seed toxic or edible or anything like that?
A lot of people have said that they look like strawberries hanging on the trees. They look like strawberries. They don't feel like strawberries. I would liken it, eating the skin, to kind of like eating a hard-boiled egg you haven't peeled. I don't think it's going to hurt you. I don't think there's anything in it that will hurt you, but it would not be very comfortable. This is very rough, and it's tough.
Well, what about blending? If somebody blended it in something, would that be an issue? Would they add nutrition, or is it toxic? Or
I'm not aware of any toxicity in the skin. You'd have to blend it really good not to have some crunchiness from the part. So I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think that'll hurt you. There is a toxin in the seed, and that can also be in the immature, really green fruit. So we do not recommend eating the seeds.
Okay. All right. And let's see here. So this is... And you only have this variety available?
Correct.
Okay. And the other varieties that you have, you said you're getting rid of?
There's 2 trees up at the front of the farm, Mauritius and Brewster, that are really, really old. We we'll keep them as long as they stay alive. They're huge trees. We, for the most part, like this year, I couldn't even pick them if I wanted to because they're so tall. Like this is a Brewster. I'm not quite sure how and why it got out here. If it was mistagged or if Dad was experimenting. There are 3 Brewster trees scattered throughout here. 2 of them are in the road that's going away anyway. The other one is coming down because I have to go around when the crew starts picking. I have to go around and flag the trees. I'm like, don't pick these.
And how do you know these are Brewster? Just from being here so long? Because there's no label.
Yeah, they look completely different.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
They are, yeah, they're
smaller. And the leaves actually look different. It's minimal, but it is different, yeah.
Now, if somebody had a tree and they wanted to change the variety, do they graft or do they air layer?
And in terms of turning over a large tree, I'm really not sure how successful grafting is. I can tell you in terms of creating new plantings, air layers the way everybody goes. It works really well on lychees. They air layer easily, and the success rate on that is pretty high. Grafting for a small tree, I would expect to be very difficult because the seeds are so tiny. I'm not aware of anybody that does it.
Okay. Okay. And as for the tree, I know you said you used to sell trees, but do you no longer sell the trees here?
If the state as a whole can get the mite under control, then we will sell the trees again. Right now, I don't want to risk bringing any in. The other thing is right now, I would not recommend anybody plant lychees in their yard because the mite isn't just a nuisance, like it really impacts the health of the tree and its ability to produce fruit. So if it can't be controlled, and for a tree that grows slowly and is quite the time investment, it's
so it wouldn't be the best choice if somebody has a limited space.
Exactly.
Okay, what about longans? Do you grow longans here?
We have a couple of longan trees. We used to sell them. We do not any longer.
Do you have any idea why your grandfather or your father, of all the fruits out there he can grow, you had mangoes here on the farm already, why you said, yeah, we're going to start growing lychee trees?
It is very beneficial to us. Mangoes have a very short season. Well, the mango season is mostly July and August, right? So in order to increase the income of the farm and try to keep labor consistent and keep it where we can manage it, we've looked for other crops that don't come in at the same time. And also, you know, everything we grow is tropical. It, for the most part, falls into the uninsured category. So having different crops, you know, unless we have like a super bad freeze, you know, typically you don't have a crop failure in everything the same year. So the diversity kind of helps with sustainability. The lychees come in, like I said, usually end of May, 1st of June. So that tends to fall after our green mango season, and it's actually holding this year. Our last shipment of green mangoes are going out Monday, and before the mangoes get ripe, so they kind of fall in the little gap there. So it, you know, brings in some cash flow early, you know, keeps something for the crew to do, keeps me busy. I couldn't handle them if they came in at the same time as mangoes, which is what happened with the longans. The longans tend to overlap with our late mango varieties, and it's just too much.
Okay. How many, you said you have 40 acres of mangoes.
Yeah.
Wow, we're going to come back and do that in the middle of the season. We're excited about that. But we are in lychee season right now, and people can pick these up. How are the sales going this year? A lot of people ordering lychees more than ever, or the average?
Well, we haven't had any for the last couple of years, so I'm not really sure, but there's been a lot of interest. We have a long list of people that want to pick them up at the farm, and I've got a bunch of orders to ship. So it looks very positive.
Great. Now, how much of your crop here on the lychee trees would you say has been affected by the mite? Is 50% of your trees have fruit this year, maybe?
I would say we have about a 25-35% crop. It's not all the mites spread really easily. So all of the trees, once they got out here, like it just spreads. This row has the heaviest crop on this side. So the south side of our north row has a nice crop. The south row has just got little patches where there's fruit. And then the north side of this row, there's practically nothing on. So overall, I would say 25, and then you add in the little spots, probably 30 to 35%.
What's the oldest tree on the property of all your trees?
Of all the trees, we have a mango tree that's over 100 years old.
You know what variety?
The rootstock and a couple of the lower branches are Malgoba.
Okay, wow. And what for lychee, what's your oldest lychee? Lychee, the ones in the front? What did you say?
The ones up in front, yeah. And I don't know if they were planted at the same time or if the Brewster or Mauritius came first.
Wow. Now, do you have a lot of pictures of the old farms as well in your records?
We have a few old pictures. My guess is we probably have more pictures in the 70s era that are in a box that haven't been scanned yet, but we've got some really, really old ones from the black and white.
Wow, this is an amazing place. And for those of you that even if you're normally getting lychees, try this variety out and check it out. And again, they're going to have lychees longer than most other people growing lychees just because of where they're situated. And that's exciting. That's exciting to know. Thank you so much for taking the time to show us your amazing trees. And I'm going to put the website below and the contact information for Erickson Farm below. Tell us where you're located.
We are in Canal Point, which is in western Palm Beach County.
Yes, right near Lake Okeechobee. And where I usually go, all the nurseries and fruit places are in Loxahatchee, and you're only about a half hour from there. And it's so it's quite convenient. It's just beautiful out here, and it's looking great. So everybody, get on out here and check this place out, and buy yourself some lychees and then mangoes when they come in season. What else do you sell here?
After the mangoes, towards the middle to the end of mango season, we start getting in some of the early avocado varieties. And then our sapodilla, which are also called chiku and naceberry and about 5 other names, they get ready in January. It's a variety, a lot of people will have them in season now, but the variety we went for gets ready in January and February.
What variety is that?
I think the majority of the trees are Hacia. There's also a few Alano. They're both the egg-shaped fruit, very sweet, only a couple of seeds, usually 3 or less seeds, and they have a smoother texture than some can be kind of gritty from the older ones.
Sure. And what about the avocados? What varieties do you have of those?
On avocados, I would have to look at a list.
How many do you have?
I want to say it's like 20 or 23,
Wow.
something like that, but it's just a couple of trees of each one.
Okay, well, we'll have to come do an avocado video. That's amazing. Do you sell other fruit trees here, mangoes and avocados?
We sell mango and avocado trees if we can get them. We take care of the big trees, so what we do is, if we can get them, we buy the trees from the same wholesalers where we get our stock, just to make them available, because they don't sell retail, they only sell wholesale. We've had challenges getting them in. COVID seemed to, a lot of people were planting trees, and the nursery stock seemed to get a little goofy then, and we've had trouble having any available to buy.
One more question I just thought of. When you trim these trees, these lychee trees, considering the mite, what do you do with what's left over from the trees? Like, do you grind it up, and what do you do with it? Burn it? How does
Not really, because if the mite's on the part that you take off, it's going to be on the part that's left. Anytime we cut out big limbs, yes, we do burn them. Not here. We take them, away from the trees. If the limb, usually when the tree trimmer comes in, it's a combo of, if there's any big pieces, then they get burned, and the smaller stuff will get mulched up with one of the mowers.
And do you use the mulch?
Oh, well, it gets like mulched in place with one of the mowers.
Okay, but
so,
do you put mulch around your trees here?
Actually, you can see they're kind of mulched, but it's leaves from the lychee trees.
These naturally mulch themselves.
Yes.
But the extra mulch you don't add?
No, these just accumulate, and it does help keep the moisture level in the ground.
How have the hurricanes affected the trees? Do lychees hold up well during hurricanes or not really?
Lychee trees are very slow to recover from damage. Some storms have been harder on them than others. Irene didn't do too much damage. They got damaged pretty hard back in the early 2000s. We had Francis come through, dumped a ton of rain. We are in the muck, so when it's wet, it's kind of like being in jello. So that ripped a lot of the leaves off, and that hurts them nutritionally. And then they got jiggled around, so the roots got disturbed, which they don't like. So right after, okay, Francis was first, and then Jean, like a couple of months, came like exact same, or almost exactly the same path, did the same thing. We lost a couple of trees in Jean because they had already kind of been pushed to their limits in Francis. Not too bad, but you know, they weren't happy. They had their leaves taken off. They had their roots disturbed. So there was that. And then the next year we had Wilma, which wasn't a big deal statewide. However, the hurricane, this one came in from the West Coast, and it actually clashed with like a thunderstorm or something over the lake. And right here, the power poles across the lake were the big concrete ones. They're supposed to be good through category like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They all got snapped off.
Wow.
And there's no evidence that it was higher than a category 2 because any of the wind meters at the experiment station or the little general airport got blown away. So there's no measure of how high the winds got. But it kicked off a lot of little tornadoes, little twisters, and that's where we lost a chunk of trees. This row that we're taking out actually has this section towards the back that you can't see from here, where like 8 or 10 trees were just removed.
They'll just blow them right over roots and everything?
It'll blow them over, but usually it does even worse than that because when the twisters hit them, like the trunk will look like a giant took a hold of it and just, and the wood splintered and torqued, plus the roots are out of the ground. It's not something, with a lot of fruit trees, if they just get blown over from sustained winds, you can set them back up. When they get ripped out like that, they're done.
Well, I know in a mango, they'll grow back, or an avocado especially, if they're cut in the middle, they'll grow back. Not lychees?
Well, like I said, if they get blown over from sustained wind, you can cut them back and set them up. And a lot of these are at a little bit of an angle and they've been set back up. But if they've been twisted like that and ripped out of the ground, like the trunks will be like splintered. And it's just too much damage.
Wow.
They don't come back from that.
Wow. So can we take a Brewster and also Hak Ip and show us the difference in the size of the seed?
Yes, actually, I was thinking I should have done that. Okay, so this one's going to be green, but size-wise, it's not going to change a whole lot. Okay. They do turn a really pretty red when they are ripe. So these were the ones that we had when I was a little kid. And I will tell you, when I was a little kid and we were picking and selling these, they didn't lose many to me because I didn't like them. It's a fair amount of work. Get it peeled off.
So did you have a passion for since your family was into this farm, like for the trees in general, or did that happen later in life?
No, I mean, I've always loved nature, and our house is, we've always lived right here on the farm. I moved away a while for school and stuff. But, yeah, I enjoy it. There's something very, I'm blanking on the word, but it's meaningful to grow food.
But was your passion like, did you go to school to be agriculturally? Or
actually, no. I grew up on the farm, and I was going to go into business consulting. And I was actually started to work on my PhD, and I discovered that staying in an office and spending a lot of time creating reports that very often ended up in the bottom of file cabinets and nothing ever happened with was very, the intrinsic reward was lacking.
Yes.
You can make more money that way and it's much more consistent. But I do appreciate the intrinsic factor of growing food. Yeah. And I love growing the tropical fruits because we have a lot of customers that grew up in areas or in other countries or in areas in Florida and stuff where they had a tree in their backyard and they're like, I haven't tasted this since I was a kid. It brings them back and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the seed and that little Brewster.
That's the Brewster. And
Yep.
the fruit is...
So you can kind of compare.
Yeah. So there's a big seed, a small fruit.
Yes. These we were not successful in attempting to ship this variety. If you have like a branch or a cluster and you drop them or you have a bunch in a bag or a box and it takes any kind of a fall, which if you've ever seen what they do to your packages on UPS, happens, they split. And then when they arrive, you've got juice everywhere and it's just a mess. Now, by comparison...
Now when you ship, you pick the same day and ship overnight, right?
We pick the same day and they need either second day or next day.
Okay.
I do recommend next day. They can handle second day. And if you're in Florida, we do offer ground because it is next day. So it's a little bit of a savings there. But yeah, you don't want to go over 2 days.
And when people get them after a day or two, and they said they could stay out for about 2 days and then...
I would say after they've gone through shipping, I would put them in the fridge right away.
Okay. In plastic bags in the fridge. Now, if you leave them on your counter, should they be in plastic bags as well?
No, I don't think so. It's just when you put things in the refrigerator, you'll notice with anything, it sucks the moisture out of them, and you don't want it to do that to your fruit.
So how do you ship? FedEx, Post Office, UPS?
UPS has been the most reliable.
Yeah,
they also pick up here late in the afternoon, which gives us time to get them picked, packed, and on the truck the same day.
Did you hear FedEx and UPS merged?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they call it Fed Up now.
Yeah,
just kidding, everybody. They didn't merge. I just wanted to... Yes.
I like the name, though.
Yes.
Okay, so by comparison, you've got a small seed. Sometimes they call it a chicken tongue seed.
Okay.
In the middle of what's much thicker fruit. So these, there's a lot more forgiveness in this fruit.
So much smaller, and there's so much more fruit on them.
If it falls.
Like sweet tarts. Oh, wow, look at that. See how small the seed is there versus how big it is there, and the fruit's small and this is big. So this is more like a sweetheart, and this is, wow. And
by comparison, like the Mauritius will be probably closer to this in size on the outside, but the seed's more like this on the inside.
Interesting. So this and sweetheart will be the best bang for your buck, so to say.
Yeah, and you can, if you're just sitting there eating them, it's less work for the amount of pulp you get to eat.
Wonderful. That's very important to know. So thank you for showing us that and showing us your amazing farm here.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming out.
And the website is ericsonfarm.com?
Yes.
Okay, everybody, the link's below and check them out. And we'll be back here for a mango video, avocado video, a sapodilla video. But this is lychee. We're in lychee season, depending when you're watching this. So definitely... share this video with others and get on out here or get on their website and get them in the mail.
Just call us before you drive.
Yeah. All right, everybody, there it was. That was all the information you would ever need to know about growing lychees or lychees, however you want to pronounce it. But this is important that we had Kimberly on. Thank you so much for showing us around because
My
they
pleasure.
have this Hak Ip variety, but they also have a different season. So when everyone's out of lychees or lychees, don't think, oh, I missed a season. Contact them and they'll still have more than the others might not. So definitely get to their website. The link's below, and thank you for having us out.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Put your comments and questions below. We'll be back here for mangoes and avocados during that season. This place is absolutely amazing, and it's in West Palm Beach County. It's near Lake Okeechobee, and I'm so glad I found it, and I'm here. Until then, everybody, have a great day and keep growing. All right, everybody, that was Kimberly at Erickson Farm. This place you want to get to, and unlike many of the other lychee farms, they have Hak Ip Lychee is the lychee or lychee, or however you want to say it, of choice here. But definitely get some of those, try them. This place is amazing. I can't wait to come back here and film their mango trees in a couple of weeks and their avocados during the season. But that's their information now. I'm going to post it below. Erickson Farms, amazing place. So glad I got here, and I'm going to be coming back a lot more because they have many acres of fruit trees, and it is amazing. So I hope you learned something today about lychees, and I certainly did. And remember, depending when you're watching this, lychee season is in season now, so get them while they are around. Have a great day, everybody, and keep growing. All right, everybody, this is amazing. This is some of the Hak Ip Lychees, and I'm so excited to eat these and share them with some friends. And definitely get on out here and get yourself a bunch of bags of this. It's amazing. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing. For more educational videos about mangoes and other fruits and how to grow fruit trees, please look out the other videos on this channel, Fruitful Trees, and also subscribe if you like, and also share these videos with others. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing.